Hi everyone, thanks for watching. It's the first of the month, so that means it's time to talk about the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club and the Embossing Folder of the Month Club. This is a two-part video. I created a lot of projects, cards with this set. I guess I was feeling very fallish, if that's such a word, and I really did make a lot of cards, so I decided to split this up into two different videos. So today we're going to be looking at the stamp set. The stamp set is called Fall Thoughtfulness. It has these two really pretty images. One, a bouquet of leaves that are fall leaves, and the other, a pumpkin with fall leaves around it. And there are 4 sentiments, including Happy Fall, Happy Thanksgiving, thanks for your thoughtfulness, and I'm thankful for a friend like you. There's also dies. If you are part of the Stamp and Die Club, you can get both the stamps and the dies. And the dies will cut out all of the images and all of the sentiments, which is fantastic. Sometimes when you buy stamp sets or whatever, the sentiments might not necessarily be included with the die. The sentiments might not have dies, but with Spellbinders, more often than not, you'll find that you do get dies to cut out your sentiments. And what I did was I heat embossed this with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is a pigment ink, and then I went over top of it with my clear embossing powder. And I did this a couple times. One, I wanted to make more than one card, and I also love these sentiments, and I know that I can get a lot of use out of them this fall season. I'm showing you right now the dies. They cut out, as I said, both the images and the sentiments. I'm going to run this through my Spellbinders Platinum machine. This is a full-size Spellbinders Platinum machine. And you see the images cut very nice and close. The dies cut very nice and close to the images. And then you see how pretty that sentiment script is. Now I'm using the bright cardstock to select a few pieces of fall colored papers. These are the Spellbinders. I also have the Wildflower Assorted Pack. This was released a couple months ago from Spellbinders. I know the brights are still available. I'm not sure about the wildflower colors, but I decided to go with a yellow, an orange, and like a golden color. And I think those are really nice for fall. And I will have all the products that I'm using linked below in my description box. If you like these products and decide to subscribe to the Embossing Folder of the Month Club and the Stamp and Die Club of the Month, please use my link. That way I'll get a very small commission, and that helps them at Spellbinders to know that you're watching my videos, and that it gives me a small amount that goes towards continuing my YouTube channel. The embossing folder is called Cascading Leaves and Stripes. It's a nice bold pattern, perfect for the fall. You're going to get a lot of mileage out of this embossing folder. And I did spritz my paper with some water before I ran it through my Spellbinders Platinum machine. That helps the fibers be a little bit more malleable so that they don't crease or tear when you run it through. In addition to the color cardstock from Spellbinders, I used some white cardstock, and I decided to do some ink blending. I thought this would be really pretty, trying to sort of mimic an autumn sunset. So the colors that I'm using are from Catherine Puller inks. I'm using Whipped Honey, Catching Rays, and Pucker Up. You can use them in any color combination. You can vary them, pink, orange, yellow, or you can do orange, pink, yellow, however you want is fine. One of the things I would recommend when you are doing this type of technique, I prefer the foam dome blenders just because I like a real punch of color. I figure if I'm going to all this work to do this ink blending, I want it to be noticeable, that when you look at my project, you can be like, oh, that's an ink blended background. That's really pretty. I don't want it to be so faint that you can't see the colors. Anyways, you can use blending brushes if you prefer. I just prefer to use the foam dome blenders for this technique. One thing I would recommend is that your ink pads be freshly re-inked, because, ink pads dry out quickly, especially if they're in a craft room like mine where I seem like I always have my ceiling fan running. And going over the blending more than one time. So you see I just blended it, and then I'm taking my saturated, like whatever's left over on that ink dome foam blender, I'll just go over it again. So what I'm saying is, it's okay to take more than one pass at it when you are doing your ink blending. And having a juicy ink pad is good, and having a smooth paper is good. I like hammer mill paper for ink blending, and I use just like 100 or 80 pound. Again, as I said, I'll have my supplies linked below in case you're trying to find the right kind for, your ink blending in the future. But don't you just love this embossing folder? I love the Spellbinders clubs. Not only do I get the clear stamp and die of the month and the embossing folder of the month, they send it to me. Spellbinders sends it to me as a social media influencer. But I also purchased the 3D embossing folder of the month, and I purchased the glimmer of the month. I love those sets so much. And then I actually purchased an extra of the stamp and die of the month and embossing folder of the month to give away. So if you would like to be entered into my giveaway, it's open to U.S. residents age 18 and over. Sorry, international folks, it's just so expensive to ship internationally or to Canada. It's cost prohibited for me to do that. So what I ask that you do is leave a comment on my video. By you leaving a comment, it shows YouTube that I have people watching, and it helps to get my video into the algorithm mix so that more people will get the chance to see it. So leave a comment below letting me know what you think about my cards after you watch my video, and you'll be entered to win the Fall Thoughtfulness Stamp and Die set, the Cascading Leaves and Stripes embossing folder, and a card from me as well. And I announce the winners at the end of the month. Also, I recently just reached 3,500 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So I will be doing lots of giveaways soon. Life has been extremely hectic around here, so I haven't been able to do that much with my YouTube channel. But for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that my son just went to his first year of college. So I'm going to have a little bit more downtime. So I'm hoping to spend a little bit more time investing in my YouTube channel, doing more videos, and putting more content out there for you all to hopefully watch. As always, your support is greatly appreciated. Now, what I'm doing, I have my embossed image. So I heat emboss this, remember, with the black pigment ink and the clear embossing powder. And I'm just coloring it, watercoloring it with Korean markers. The markers are very highly saturated. So I do like that about these markers. What I did was I just opened up my box and picked out some fall colors. I picked out 2 green, 2 yellow, a gold, a red, and 2 orange. And all I'm doing is laying down some of the Korean color, and then I'm going and adding another color. So basically I do either the light first or the dark first. Really, I have no method here. Then I go in with my little bit of water on a small brush. It's a very small brush. And I just blend that. So, disclaimer, I'm not an expert colorist by any means. I just try my best. And hopefully the results, give somebody a smile when I send them the card. That's really all that I wish and hope for. Of course, I want to represent the product well for the company. Oh, and then I grabbed this real pretty burgundy color and I added that to some of the orangish color leaves. And I think that was really nice. So, think about the colors of fall. Think about what you might see in nature. And then go ahead and use that as your inspiration. I even grabbed like a brown color marker because, when the leaves change colors, you see all of those different colors. And then there's a daisy or whatever in this bouquet, and I thought it reminded me of Black-Eyed Susans. So I colored all of the petals, the gold color, and then I colored the flower centers with brown. Okay, so that's what my process was here. There's several small leaves at the bottom here that I'm going to color in next. Now that I have my large leaves colored. And once I finish coloring this in, I'll move on to the next one. I have another technique I'm going to show you that uses the Korean markers, but it's a little different than this, coloring technique. But I just love this little foliage bouquet. I think it's super pretty and doesn't take very long to color in. Now, I do have my video set to fast forward just because I'm slow and I don't feel like making this video to be an hour long, and I'm sure you wouldn't watch it if it was that long. So I'm just going to speed up here to my next technique in just a minute. This is what it looks like when I finish it. Okay, so I have a piece of wrapper here. This is just some acetate wrapping from a stamp. And I'm going around and I'm just scribbling with these Korean markers. And then I'm going to take my water and splish splash a little bit and then take my brush and just kind of combine these colors. And now I'll go ahead and dip the heat embossed panel, which is the fall bouquet, right on top. And I'm soaking up the ink. Now this paper is a little bit heavier. So this is actually a watercolor paper. It's not the same paper that I use for my ink blending. So this is sort of a very lightweight, smooth watercolor paper. It's not thick, coarse watercolor paper. It's the smoothest that I could find. It makes for really nice watercolor paper. And if I feel like I don't have enough of one color, I'll lay a little bit more color down of that. So I felt like I needed to get a little bit more green. And this is a quick way to color your fall foliage because some people don't like coloring. And you can do this as an alternative to the process that I showed you previously. Okay. And then I'm just letting that excess ink just drip down onto that flower bouquet, fall bouquet, leaf bouquet. And I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out. I think that's a nice representation of fall colors. I went back to that bouquet that I just colored and I decided I was going to color in the background. So I just scritched a little bit of that blue Korean marker and then I took a little bit of water and basically created my own watercolor. And this helps to dilute it so it's not overpowering because I don't want this blue to be the focal point of what I just colored. It would take away from it. So by diluting it with water, I'm still able to watercolor with the Korean color, but it definitely makes it look more like a background than anything else. I really like how this one turned out too. I'm very pleased. I hope you like it too. Let's move on to the next image and color our pumpkin. I'm just using some orange and some red and some, I don't know what colors I used, really. Your basic pumpkin colors, orange and red. And then for the leaves, I basically did the same process that you saw me do earlier with the leaf bouquet image. And I did this several times, and I repeated the process. And I'm not going to have you watch all of it, but I just wanted to show you that, yes, you can heat emboss your image and then color it in with your Korean markers. It's not a problem. And if you don't feel like doing what I'm doing, which is watercoloring with my markers, you can just color. You don't have to do this step. If you enjoy, coloring, I think the Korean markers are a great investment. And, they're a little bit expensive, so you can always maybe put it on your wish list for a holiday present from somebody in your family. Or if you don't have them, you can use any kind of dye-based ink markers with a fine tip. I think the fine tip works best just so that you can get into those small spaces. And as I said, this was part one of my project, which shows me doing the watercoloring and adding a little bit of mixed media to it. So after I'm done with coloring, I grab some glitter gel and I add glitter to the pumpkins with the glitter gel. And then I grab some actual glitter because I'm not sure if you're aware, but Spellbinders is selling glitter from Art Glitter Company, and they're beautiful glitters. So I'm going to fast forward through this section and let's transition to the next section where I'm going to show you some of these beautiful glitters that are available through Spellbinders. Welcome to my pumpkin patch. So the first little pumpkin at the top has glitter like a paste, and I just scraped that on with a spatula. But then I remembered, I have those beautiful glitters from Art Glitter that I got from Spellbinders. I will warn you, they are very much full. Like the little jars are very full. So whatever you do, make sure you're prepared to get a little messy. A little glitter never hurt anyone. I like glitter. I like sparkle and bling. I will have the colors listed below in my description box. For the sake of time, I am fast forwarding through this, but look at that purple. Oh my goodness. That purple is going to be so pretty with Halloween. I can't wait to play with it. So when you apply your art glitter, what you do is you put a very thin bead of glue down along wherever you want to highlight, and then you just sprinkle the glitter on. That's all there is to it. And that's all that I did. I used this beautiful orange colored glitter. I'm sorry, I don't have the names of the glitters right in front of me right now. I will have them listed below though in my description box. And I just sprinkled it on with a little spoon. You can add as little or as much. It does really make your cards pop. So I would say, I know some people have an aversion to glitter. I'm not one of those people. I would just say, give it a try. You're going to be pleased with the sparkle. And who doesn't love a little bit of sparkle and a little bit of bling? See how easy this is? And I'm not even doing a really good job with my lines. I mean, I was kind of rushing at this point because I had spent a lot of time coloring these and I just really wanted to get my cards finished. And I knew I was going to have a lot of cards. By the way, I made 8 cards this time. So you can see I'm gearing up for fall, y'all. I am ready to get these pumpkins out in the mail to some lucky folks. So with the glitter, I just use copy paper and then I can just funnel it back into the container. But look at this gold. Oh my goodness. The Christmas cards are going to just really sparkle this year with this beautiful gold glitter. And so you see my little leaves here are like a golden color leaf. So I just go ahead in with the gold glitter. And then you just let it dry. Before you put it on to your card panel and before you assemble your cards, just let this dry. And I usually just set it aside and let it dry overnight. I mean, there's no rule that says you have to let it dry that long. However, I've found that it's just better for me, because if I don't, then I rush things. I'm sure there's other of you out there that are like me, that are like, not very patient. And so it's like, I kind of do it in chunks. So, I did all of the stamping and heat embossing, and then I cut it out with my die cutting machine, and then I set it aside. And then I did all of my embossing folder panels, and then I did some ink blending and I cut it aside. And then I did my watercolor, like you're seeing the fruits of my labor now. You're seeing all the images that I watercolored. And then I set that aside, let it dry, and then I came back in with the glitter. So because I'm making quite a few cards this time, I'm making 8 different cards, that process worked out well for me. But you do it however you want to do it. I'm just sharing with you how I do things. And I am speeding this up for the sake of time. I do not work this fast. If you've ever watched Stamp Wars, you know I don't work this fast. I'm usually the slowest one. And to clean all the glitter, I used a Swiffer, a dry Swiffer towel. And I used that on my glass media board, and it did a really nice job picking up that excess glitter. I took my silicone mat and I just washed it out in the sink. So I'm using my card panel and the ink embossed panel, and then some of that bright yellow, which I die cut with the fluted rectangle die from Spellbinders. And then I just take my beautiful, sparkly, not floral, but fall leaf bouquet. And I'm going to pop it up with some foam squares from Spellbinders. And the same thing with my sentiment. I'm going to pop that up with some foam squares. I think if you're going to go through the trouble of creating this, type of a card, and I really am very heavy-handed on the foam squares. I probably don't need this many, but they're so easy to peel the background off. You can just grab your tool-in-one from Spellbinders and they pop right off. Yep, there's a little bit of glitter on my panel. Whatever. It's no big deal. You have a little bit of fallout if you really manhandle the card, which I don't plan on doing that. And I'm sure my recipients will not either. It's not as if you open up the card and a bunch of glitter is going to fall out, because it is glued down. And that's my finished card. I think it turned out great. I think it's definitely got that nice bright. And then I'm going to I like it because it's nice and bright. And then I have a piece of this embossed ink blended panel, and I'm going to put that on the inside of my card so that when you open it, there's another kind of element of interest. And then finally, I have some color essential gems. This is the gold mix from Spellbinders. I'm just going to pop 3 gems on, and then we will call this card complete. So don't forget to leave a comment below if you'd like to be entered into my contest to win a card. It could be this card or one of the many other cards that I created. The September 2023 Clear Stamp and Die of the Month set, and the September 2023 Cascading Leaves and Stripes Spellbinders Embossing Folder of the Month. I'm sharing with you still photos of the 8 different cards that I created. And don't forget to watch my channel. I'll have another video where I show some of me putting together the actual cards and some of the other Spellbinders dies that I use to create my cards. But for the sake of brevity, I figured I'd better break it into two different videos. But I hope you'll watch the second video too. This is the one you want to comment on, though, to be entered to win the prize. Thanks so much for watching. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.